Ladies and gentlemen, Yankees Fireside Chat.
Yankees Fireside Chat, Season 3, Episode 8. There's still no baseball, but that's what we'll be talking about. I hope you listened to last week's episode that was old school wrestling. Shout out Nav Hazard. But this week we're back to baseball. We'll be talking about realignment. MLB's talking about maybe having 3 divisions, East, Central, West. We'll see how that works out. What matchups would be must see. There's some talk about the MLB players giving back some of their salary. That's what the organizations want. We're going to say who's greedy. Is it the players for not wanting to give that up? Is it on the organizations? We'll talk about Boomer Wells replied to us this week about trading a Rolex for a jersey number. Is that a fair swap? And we'll also review the poll of who is the better baseball player. We'll weigh in Hideki Matsui or Giancarlo Stanton. Jute, I hear your dog already. Poot, you look calm, you look baked, you look like you had some coffee. How we doing?
Well, there we go. You got to understand, my dog and I are not having a good time at this point. He broke my lamp. I put him in timeout. I hit his toys, so him and I are not having a good time right now. But for me, I'm okay. I'm still a little angry at Little Spoon Chant. But I'm doing okay. I need some baseball. That's all I know for sure.
Pooter?
Yeah, I'm getting pretty hungry. Same boring shit. Got some stupid email today about Save the Gorillas. Apparently they're super affected by COVID. So maybe, Harambe was just the beginning. Starting to smell conspiracy theory.
I hope Bill Exotic doesn't get involved with that one. But Moot, realignment of the MLB divisions. So you want to kind of run down, kind of summarize this before we get into it?
Yeah, so Major League Baseball is considering realigning. It would be a little bit more where instead of the AL East, NL Central, basically, here's what you'd have to know. AL East, NL Central, they'd be just the East. The Central Division, I think they gain the Braves, but it's the AL and NL Central, and then the AL West, NL West. Basically, they're combined. So it's just the 30 teams, 10 of them in each. I think it would be very interesting. It's going to be for the Yankees to think about it. And you're going to have them playing the Mets potentially against a lot more times. You're going to see them playing the Phillies, which would be interesting with Girardi and Betances. But other than that, I mean, it's definitely interesting. I think that, and maybe one of you can correct me, but I think that would still be either they'd be playing in home ballparks or it would be all in the spring training site. So that's going to be a very weird, different, I guess would be the thing, how that would work.
Definitely unique, but it's not going to be a normal season. People are not going to take this season seriously. They're just going to discredit the whole thing. How do you have a world, how long is it going to last? How do you have a World Series this way?
Yeah, and I mean, they would probably want to have a 90 to 120 game season. They're talking about this for June, late June, July, because these guys are going to need spring training again, probably at least 3 weeks. So I think that would be definitely interesting. You're going to have a shortened season. I mean, I already see some people saying they should just cancel the season, that it's, going to mess up, I guess, the normal, World Series champion and stuff. But that'd be weird. I'm not sure how the playoffs would work, but that'd be weird to see like the Yankees and Mets or the Yankees and Phillies to be facing each other in like the division series.
Well, let's look at who really is in the division here. So if we look at the American, let me say that again, the East, you got Baltimore, Boston, Miami. Yeah, not America, Matt, whatever you want to call the AL, NL East. Baltimore, Boston, Miami, Mets, Yankees, Philly, Pittsburgh, Tampa Bay, Toronto, and Washington. It's kind of geographically decided, right? I mean, the only two that are kind of a little out of the way is Tampa Bay and Miami because they're south, but it's only still a 2-hour plane ride by plane, but all these teams are, less than an hour plane ride away. DC and Toronto aren't far away from New York. Looking at that, let's just call it a division for now. I mean, who are the teams that are really good? I mean, you look at Baltimore, who's, let's be up, they're just rebuilding. Boston, of course, I mean, who knows what Boston's going to be? Miami is dog shit. The Mets, you all know what the Mets are. They're clowns. So realistically, you're going to be battling Philadelphia and Washington, which actually is a little bit of captivating baseball. I would be looking forward to it. I would love to be seeing series against Washington and Philadelphia on and off. I think that's actually some baseball that I'd rather watch those games than watching against Toronto or Baltimore.
Toronto's going to be decent this year. I think a lot of people almost count them out. They've done some stuff this offseason. They got some pitching with Ryu. They got Roark. And they have a good young core. They have Biggio, Guerrero. So, I mean, I'm not going to count them out. I think they're going to be tougher. But, yeah, they're definitely rebuilding. I think that Yankees, I mean, they're really lucky because a lot of those teams, the Pirates. Pirates are a rebuilding team. A lot of them, they got lucky. The Braves aren't in that division. Really, I think kind of you said it's going to be the Rays. The Red Sox are always going to be tough. They're a rival. The Mets, Phillies, and Washington. I think the Yankees really got lucky. There's a lot of bad teams in that division.
I agree with you. I mean, I just want to see some baseball. You see it in Taiwan. They're playing. They don't have anybody in the stands, but they're doing a great job getting the games going. It doesn't matter if they're fans there or not. Let's just play baseball here. I think the travel is also something that's a little sketchy. But, they're trying to stay away from the going across country or going into the West, which is fine. I'm all for it. Let's put it this way. All the games will be starting at 7:05, which is great news.
Did you see the interesting thing? And not to cut you off there, but what they're talking about is potentially instead having, how March Madness is? Games at noon. What they would do is they'd basically put them on throughout the day. Every single day. So because there's going to be no fans in the seats. So it'll be baseball all day from noon until 10 p.m. They'll be having games on.
Great. And I wouldn't be surprised if you see some teams playing doubleheaders, playing at 12 and then playing at 7, at 10, It's a whole different type of baseball. It's going to present its new challenges. And for those idiots and ass clowns that think that if you're winning this type of World Series is a diminished to, it doesn't really count, then they're wrong because this presents its own challenges in a different way. You know what? This makes it where every game could be more meaningful than a late July game in the hot box Bronx against the Tampa Bay Rays and a who cares game. These games actually are going to come down and, are going to be very meaningful.
Yeah, that's going to be the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Especially
games more meaningful.
And teams that get heat up at the end of the season. Now, it kind of throws off a lot of teams, the way they do things.
And also, let's be honest here. In April and May, we kind of got that buzz about baseball being back. And then once you hit mid-June, it's kind of like the dog days of summer. You're playing every day. The games are, less meaningful. And then until you get into late August, September. So it would be kind of interesting. It would be interesting. And then, I wonder – that if this something does work, does it mean in the future that they do realign the divisions? Do they take away the designated hitter? That's also something. Are they, is it just going to be American League rules that the pitcher's not going to hit?
Yeah, and you actually bring up a good point. I mean, not to kind of take it away, but they are talking about, making some different things. They're talking about, potentially having just, no pitchers hitting this one. Dude, you have a phone ringing?
No, that's Poot.
Poot, that's you?
Yeah, I might have a phone ringing.
Oh man, I was like, who's that old school with the house phone? But
yeah.
All right, I guess that's the Poot, makes sense. But yeah, I mean, I think we'll see different things. The DH might finally get implemented universal, which would be good. But I think, like you said, I think they'll be kind of interesting. There'll be some new things to kind of look for. But with this, it's going to change the game too, because when you think about it, if there's only 90 to 120 games, it's no longer that marathon. It's going to be more of a sprint. But there's talk about the salaries being cut. So if they play, just say out of the 162, it's going to be prorated to whatever they play. Maybe even some organizations asking them to take more of a pay cut. What do you think about this?
All right, so here's the argument, right? Like, so who is the bad guy? Who's the heel in this situation? Is it Major League Baseball organizations asking some of their players to take a prorated cut? Or is it the player who's saying, no, I want my full salary regardless of how many games and how long the season is? So who is the bad guy? And if this prevents baseball from happening this year, wow. I know Kay had a pretty interesting take on this, but I want to hear your decision. Like, who do you? I see both sides of it, but
Same.
I tend to agree with one side more than the other.
So I want to give a little bit more information just because. So the big thing too is that if it's played in front of no fans, that's what at least the report was, that MLB may ask players to take additional pay cuts. They don't go into the specifics. They say that it would be though prorate. So if 81 games are played, they'd get half their salary. What do I think of it? I think that's fair. I think at the same time, I think that's totally understandable. I think if someone asked me to work half a day at work, I wouldn't expect to get paid the whole thing. So I get that point. At the same time, I think the MLB owners might come off greedy. I think both sides potentially come off greedy if they're going to say no. I think that the players would come off greedy if they want their full salary. I think the owners come off greedy if they're wanting to cut it even more. I think the prorate is totally fair. I think that's probably the best scenario, especially if there's no fans in the seats, so you're not going to get that revenue.
I think the players are being I think the players refusing to take that prorated amount and wanting their full pay is outrageous. And I think it's just an outrageous thing for baseball. Now, I'm not talking about, the Yankees, but I know there are.
Tough. I feel like that's the thing. I mean, but it's tough to sit here and be like, oh, I feel so bad for these billionaire owners. Like, you know what? And don't get me wrong, it's billionaires versus millionaires. It's like neither one of them really comes down to trickle to the three of us. Yankees Fireside Chat doesn't get money out of this.
Right.
So, I think it's tough to kind of sit there and be like, oh, I feel so bad for these billionaire owners.
But you hit the nail on the head here. If I said, hey, you're going to work half a day, are they going to pay me for half a full day? No, any job wouldn't do that.
Okay, but here's the thing, little cuck. Contract. This is contracts involved. When you sign the contract, you're not signing saying, oh, I'm going to play 160 some odd games a season. You're saying I'm coming to play on your team. There's nothing about games played. Look at fucking Ellsbury. Look at
Ellsbury didn't play. You got free money.
He got paid, motherfucker.
Well, the Yankees got those insurance money for him, so they're lucky.
But listen, you get hurt, you still get
No, I agree though. You're right though. If they get hurt, then they still get paid. I get it.
Sure,
but you can't tell me that I wouldn't be a little upset if someone who's making $20 million a year, instead of making 20, make 10 to play baseball.
This isn't a normal career. This isn't like normal shit. Okay? This is huge money. What?
You're telling me that you'd rather have no baseball because they don't want to take a pay cut? And I'm not talking about
I'm not saying you're just putting words in my mouth.
Because you're
a rant king. There's other people on Twitter who are rant kings that are really inching towards you. I just want to let you know.
Look, I don't need to self-proclaim anything, okay? Look, my question is that someone who makes so much money and takes and refuses to take a pay, and I'm not talking about the dude who's in minor league baseball getting paid $20,000 to play baseball. I'm talking about a guy making $10 million.
So how about this? And maybe I'm going to come in as taxation here. What if it was anyone who makes over, say, $10 million, their salary is prorated? Guys, because there are a lot of guys like minor league guys, young guys someone like Torres or Andujar who makes, $500K. And while, yes, they'll probably have a big contract, someone like Mike King, they need that money. They might not, they might be someone who plays only 2 years of baseball and that's all their money. What about that? Do you think maybe it's almost like you tax the rich? Do you think, what about that?
I agree with you. I think there has to be, look, and if it's coming sincere, like if I'm the Pittsburgh Pirates and I literally don't have the money to pay you because we don't have the games, then I understand that. There has to be, it's not like you're talking about the Yankees not paying their players. They're going to pay their players. But you're talking about really small market teams, right? Tampa, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati. Okay, look, I'm gonna have a hard time liking a baseball player if they say, "Oh, hey, I don't want to take half my salary. My salary is $15 million, but you know what? I'm only gonna play half a year, so I'll take 7.5." I have no place in my body that feels bad for those people, and I'm sorry. That's just how I feel. The people that are, I think there should be, after a certain amount of money, then you do get your full guaranteed contract because those players need it. But
Yeah.
I can't wrap my head around someone who's a millionaire struggling for half a year.
But
But
it's
I don't. But like
Sorry.
Mood said, it's billionaires versus millionaires. I have zero sympathy for any of the organizations. I don't give a fuck what their market is. If they're in existence, it's because some fucking rich asshole
Yeah.
bought them.
But do you really think, though? You really think the Pittsburgh Pirates would struggle to you think they're would struggle to pay their salary because of the situation?
No, that's the thing. I think that they wouldn't struggle. That's why it's like it's one of those things that because they have a platform to complain about how they don't have money. Like you think, the Rays say that they don't have money because of, attendance and stuff. But I think that's kind of like it's also bullshit because you paid, 900 million. Look at the Miami Marlins. They sold for $1 billion. They draw nobody. Derek Jeter and that team bought them for
Yeah,
$1
where's
billion.
the value?
Yeah, like what's the value? I mean, you had that money to buy the team, so now you suddenly can't pay the players. Like, I think that's a tough look.
I agree with you there. I mean, I don't understand how you can own a team for $1 billion and your
Yeah.
payroll is garbage. I mean, if you could buy a team for $1 billion, then why aren't you putting a team in there that can actually win? I mean, Miami's notorious for just dumping their players. But I agree. I just think it's a whole bad situation. If they can't make a deal to make it work, then it would be very frustrating. It would look very bad on both sides. It would look bad on the players,
Agreed.
and it would look bad on the organization. I mean, you have people protesting in Long Island right now because they can't get work. They're about to lose their house, or not necessarily lose their house. They can't buy food. Unemployment hasn't paid anybody, and then you're going to have billionaires and millionaires squeeze the buffalo out of the nickel's ass because they want to play baseball over money. Like, come on, there has to be there's a bigger picture here, and I just hope that they don't look like snakes because of that.
Yeah,
Well,
I think at the end of the day, they're gonna look bad potentially.
Yeah, there's a business side to it, and we're seeing it right now. You're talking about, would you want to give up half your salary?
If I worked half a year, yes.
But,
I mean, I wouldn't want to, but it's reality, right?
But what if you were strapped? What if you just bought the house and the car and all this shit, and it's situational.
Oh, but it's subjective too. You got to understand that. Look, these guys that make millions of dollars, I don't know how they live. I don't know what type of house they buy. I don't know.
A lot nicer than the three of us.
Hell yeah, for sure. But I just hope that the situation doesn't come down to money, because you're gonna have people worried, like I said just before, billionaires, millionaires, and I just think that there's going to be a stigma, from these people, normal people, from people who watch baseball or not, are gonna say, how I'm struggling to just get a paycheck and you guys are worrying about millions of dollars. Like, come on.
You're right, Jude. It could be worse. You could be an XFL player.
That's a whole nother thing. WWE is gonna get sued. Vince McMahon's gonna get sued. I heard that he's possibly gonna be selling WWE. It's a piece of garbage anyway. So I don't let him get me started on that. I'm getting hot. Man.
All right.
I'm getting hot.
All right, so let's move on. We're talking about greed. Jude's hot over.
When Poot starts pushing me, I start getting hot.
David,
really pushed you, Jude.
Yeah. All right, so you'll see here on the screen, David Wells. We talked to him. He's like a friend of the show basically at this point. But he said, I asked him about in 2002 when he came back to the Yankees. He wore number 33. Alfonso Soriano in 2001 wore 33. He switched to 12. So I said, what happened? You give him what did you give up for it? He said he got a Rolex for Soriano. Soriano was 12. Wells was 33 for those 2 years. What do we think? Fair trade?
I mean, how much is a Rolex? I mean, Rolex do get expensive. I think there's all different.
Who the fuck cares? It's a watch. I don't understand. Maybe it's because I just don't live in that level. But who the hell fucking cares about a Rolex?
This is also going back years ago now. So like a watch back then, I feel like was more of a thing than it is now.
Like a trendy, Lenny came out with it, like. I mean, maybe it was
So
one
the
that
cheapest
maybe
right
This was
now
when
is
you had a
like
Virgin Mobile cell phone, Jute. That's when this
Yeah.
happened.
maybe Soriano was a quidnunk. A quidnunk is someone who's like, flashy, needs to be up with the time. So maybe, Wells got him at one of those like flashy new Rolexes,
Is that a wrestling term?
What is
No,
it?
it's an actual term.
Nunk?
Quidnunk.
Nunk? I never heard
Quidnunk.
this.
Quidnunc.
Says an
Quidnunk.
inquisitive and gossipy person. So way to use that one correct.
No, but look at the second one. Look at the second
You
definition.
start using a thesaurus for what? To look smarter when he tries selling the
It worked. I like how Moot literally had to go on the dictionary.com to look that up.
I honestly had never heard of it.
Harry Potter, you fucking loser.
Yeah, I was so. I thought honestly, I was afraid that you like said something that was like derogatory or something. I was like, I've never heard this in my life.
He probably heard some other rant guy use it, and
I don't even consider myself a rant guy. Poot's just trying to push me to this. You have a personal vendetta against somebody.
All right, but back to this. I mean, it's a jersey number. Do you care that much? I mean, if Soriano didn't care, he clearly just sold it for a Rolex.
I don't know.
So.
People are weird about jersey
He's
number.
also like a
Football
second
players,
player.
baseball players. I mean, you got football players going to other teams and they buy them from other players. It's weird. I don't know. I'd just be happy to play baseball.
I thought it was a fair trade.
What did a Rolex? Like, how much can a Rolex actually cost? Let's take a look.
Some of them get real expensive. I think like 25 grand and shit.
And you think, I feel like Wells is a good dude. I mean, I didn't ask him, but I feel like, he probably didn't get him. The cheapest one I'm looking at right now in 2020 terms is $5K. So, I mean, just say 2002 is half that.
Yeah.
Since we're on the topic of Wells, his favorite candy is chocolate, and his most listened to album of all time is Houses of the Holy.
Nice. We need to get David Wells on here. But do you wear watches, Moot? Like, are you a watch guy?
I'm not really a watch guy. Actually, I'll be honest. If someone gifted me a Rolex for like, a number or something, I'd totally be in for it. But I'm not really a watch guy. I think that, maybe there's a hot take, but watches really kind of said a time of the past, if you want to get cliche, because like just have your cell phone. I feel like
I agree. I was on one of those cruises one time for my honeymoon cruise, and they had this sale, and I'm not a big watch dude, but it was one of those Invicta watches. I bought it. It was like $200, and it's nice, but it's like, what? Like, do I purposely like look at my wrist like, oh hey, look at the time? No.
But how many times have you worn it since?
I do wear it a lot, but it bothers me because it's so.
You wear it
bulky.
to like weddings?
Yeah, like weddings or going out and stuff like that, like big events. But it's not like something I wear on my wrist every day.
Yeah.
One, it's too bulky. Two, it's like whatever. Now people have the Apple Watches and all that, which I understand. But then again, like, why do I want to talk to people like this? Hey, Booch. I see one of the APs at school. She was talking like this to her watch. It's like, why don't you just pull your phone out?
I'm with you on that. That's one thing I really don't get. I think they look. I mean, it's a tech company. They look mad nerdy. I mean, I work with tech companies, so I feel like I see a lot of nerds. So like, that's like the cliche. But I don't know. I feel like I'd rather a Rolex over an Apple.
I mean, if I could shoot like a hologram out of there, it looked like Predator from the 1980 film where he just like touches his wrist and things pop up. That would be kind of pretty cool. But it's just like you're talking into it. It's like stupid shit. But let's get back on track. There was some ass clown started a debate about Giancarlo Stanton versus Hideki Matsui. Who is the better baseball player? I think that when you look at this question, the question really is baseball player. So Putin, what makes you a good baseball player? Like, what are those characteristics that make you a good baseball player?
I mean, I guess everyone has a different thing. To me, it's like, the 5-tool players, they would say. You look at it, I think you have to do with the hitting. You have to look at the fielding, kind of all around. But this was kind of an interesting question. So who's the better baseball player? And we ran a poll because everybody was chatting about it. And the final was 143 votes, so a pretty big sample size. Hideki Matsui got 60.8%, Stan basically got 40%, closer than I thought it was going to be. But Poot, I guess I want to hear what you think of when they say baseball player.
Well, I don't think you need to know how to swing a sledgehammer. You need to know how to swing a bat. You can't get injured all the time. I mean, he's not a baseball player. He should be in MMA. Put him in MMA or something.
Are you talking about Stanton?
Oh, I mean, is Matsui swinging a sledgehammer? He had his porn collection.
Matsui?
Yeah, you never heard that?
No.
Just Google Hideki Matsui porn collection. Apparently, he had when he first got to the Yankees, he apparently just had DVDs and DVDs of porn.
That's what he did.
I swear, I'm not even messing with you. It's Hideki Matsui porn. I'm afraid what might come up, but whatever, we'll take that risk. But yeah, it's he has apparently just plenty of according to Deadspin, he has 55,000 adult videos.
Oh my God, for real?
Yeah.
Okay, that's kind of weird. But I mean,
Jude's Googling a jersey right now.
No.
Matsui. I just keep liking him more and more.
I mean, let's talk about it. Obviously, okay. So if you go through the things, right? So better batting average, better just natural hitter. I think it's Matsui for sure. The batting average is there. The numbers are there. Matsui is a 285 hitter, whereas career-wise stands in the high 260s. I would believe that. I tend to see that. What?
Yeah, it's 282 for Matsui against 268 for Stanton.
Obviously, the home runs, we don't have to go there. Okay, we obviously know Stanton has more. Stanton's able to hit more home runs. But it would be curious to see the quality of pitching from the National League versus the American League, but we don't have to go through that. I know that when he was with Miami, he was facing these teams with just, whatever. But go ahead.
I'm going to just say, a few things to this to kind of go down. I think that better baseball player, and it's going to probably be, I think that in a bubble, it's probably Stanton. Stanton hit 60 home runs, but that's not
wrong.
Hold on. Can you shut your fat face for a second? That doesn't include, now here's the other thing. It doesn't include winning. It doesn't include being clutch. It doesn't include who would you rather want late. Stanton over 162 game season, I think, puts up better stats. But in the ninth inning of a 3-2 game that you're trailing, who do you want up? I don't want Stanton. I want Matsui, which is weird. He has he has 100 less home runs, despite them both playing about the same amount of time, even though that is a little skewed because Matsui played in Japan. He was, when he came over, I recently was watching his first game at Yankee Stadium. They were talking about him. They called him the Japanese Barry Bonds. I mean, so there's a lot of those prime years that were lost to Japan that aren't going to be part of your MLB stats. But I think that's one thing. I think that who's a better Yankee? Clearly Matsui. But at the same time, I do think that you have to kind of look at it as overall, I think Stanton has more talent, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
He has more potential.
Talent. Yeah, what do you get out of that? I think Matsui got more out of it.
Stop it. See, this is where now Jude's going in rant mode. That's it.
Well, it's the rant. It's the rant, man.
It's the rant guy.
Never know what he's going to say.
This argument is a perfect representation of how just the expectations of Yankee fans today are just lower than low. You could bury them. That's how low they are, okay? You're talking about a guy who can hit mammoth home runs. Yes, and I do make friends with mammoths, Poot, okay? Now, you're talking about a guy who can hit for the ball the furthest that anybody could hit, right? Versus a guy who literally has gotten it done in the playoffs. Guys hit 312 in the playoffs, pretty much won the 09 World Series for us, making Pedro look like a pussy-ass bitch in Game 6. But no, people are going to say, oh, yeah, Stan can hit the ball 100 miles. But let me tell you, when you have him up with the game on the line, that boy going to whiff. And it ain't going to be close, okay? The guy hits, let's see, I had it pulled up right here, 235 in the postseason versus 312, Moot. Okay. I mean, that is a humongous difference.
You argued basically my point. I said that. I was like, who do you want up? I think I'd rather Matsui up. Who is overall?
But why are Yankee fans content? But why are fans content? Why are they so happy happy about just stats. I'd rather have a guy like DJ who put up no stats there near it when it counts, gets it done.
No stats. He was an MVP candidate.
But that's not what I meant. I meant the fact like he doesn't have these mind-blowing like 72 home runs. Okay, I want guys who just get it done. That's all. But people want guys who hit 60 home runs, 70 home runs, 500 RBIs.
Yeah, 5,000 new homes.
No, but seriously, I'd rather have a team full of baseball players. I guarantee that team's going to win a lot more World Series than Stanton.
You know what? And I think maybe this could be interesting. You know what? Maybe we'll try to do this moving forward. Because first of all, really, if you look at their baseball reference pages, they've played 10 seasons. It's almost perfect. They are actually very similar. Other than I think that, of course, it's kind of not fair. Matsui entered the league at 29, so his peak wasn't there, whereas Stanton was 29 last year. But I think that I kind of get your point of saying that look at those 2000, the 90s dynasty. A lot of those guys, look at their stats. They weren't that good. The Yankees were never that high with home runs. They were never gaudy stats. And nowadays, I think that a lot of the players have much more gaudy stats. You look at, Stanton, Judge, but they haven't won. I mean, would you rather Scott Brocious?
Moot. I mean, I almost would if it meant it won a world championship. Look at the team in 06.
I feel like the whole league went that way, though.
And the Yankees did this before, man. Remember 06? Was it 06? What the murderers row in Cano?
Yep.
Where you literally had a fucking bomber in every fucking part of the lineup, and they didn't get it done. You lost to a team that didn't have the same. I mean, you lost to the Angels, who didn't have a bomber in every position. Yeah, they had good guys, but they had good baseball players. You mentioned Garrett Anderson the other day. Is he going to light up anybody's
the Yankees?
I mean, is he going to be like some guy that's going to be remembered as the best Angel in history? No, but that guy was a damn good baseball player. I'll tell you that.
No, you're right. I mean, I think sometimes that's what you need. I do think that, and maybe that's like, I feel like I'm a little bit more new school to like the thought of the way baseball played, but I do think sometimes the sum of all the parts is greater than doing like a stars and scrubs. Like, I mean, you look at Stanton, he was terrible in Florida. I mean, Florida, his teams never won, and he was able to put 59 home runs. He won an MVP. But you have what it takes to do that in New York. Do you have it with other players too? It's kind of interesting.
It almost. This is not to, like, I'm not really trying to insult Stanton here. I'm really not. I don't understand why. It's just that, like, I mean, I'm looking at some of the, lineups that the Nationals had from last year, right? Now I'm gonna just call out some of these names. Are these bombers? I mean, Kurt Suzuki was their catcher. He's not Gary Sanchez, is he? No. Right? You got, Ryan Dozier. He's not like he used to be. I mean,
he was an animal for a little bit.
He had 38 home runs one year.
Yeah,
right.
And it was all like in the second
I agree. He wasn't what he used to be.
I mean, he's not. Okay, how about Howie Kendrick? The guy was an absolute. I mean, he
won them the World Series basically.
Yeah, but was he?
He wasn't a beast.
He's not a beast. Howie Kendrick used to kill us on the Angels. I remember it. Okay, the guy hit over 300. Now I'm just gonna go through this still too. Matt Adams. Okay, Yan Gomes, Gerardo Parra. Okay, do they have Juan Soto? Of course they do. Okay, do they have Rondon? Probably one of the best third basemen in baseball. Of course they do. But look, I mean, Adam Eaton. Was he a terribly amazing baseball player? Absolutely not. But it's more of, like you said, it's collective rather than the sum of like, oh, I got Stanton, let's hit 30 home runs. This team won the World Series last year.
Look at how many. I mean, I think it's kind of an interesting point. I'm not, we don't really have stats to break it down, but like, look at Kershaw. Kershaw is probably your best pitcher from 2010 until, I won't say last year, but he was up there. He's had some great seasons. How many World Series did the Dodgers win?
0. And then a lot of people can be like, oh, Jude, you don't know what you're talking about. This is the same team that beat the team that we couldn't beat. We couldn't beat the Astros. This team did.
Well, they had a lot of things going in their favor. They got hot at the right time.
Yeah.
That's because they're hitters. Bro, Howie Kendrick last year I would take Howie Kendrick last year over Giancarlo Stanton for the last 2 years.
Giancarlo.
I know
For
people
the
are gonna be like,
last
oh,
2 years?
oh,
Come on.
oh,
That's
here we go.
I mean,
Here we go.
last year he
Look,
wasn't.
all I said was I would have Howie Kendrick, how he was last year in my team, versus 2 years of Stanton. That's all I said. What's wrong with that?
I would disagree, but
Oh yeah, because Moot's in the new age of I gotta hit home runs, and that's how I win baseball games.
so you would rather? I mean, it's kind of unfair because I mean he didn't play last. Stan basically didn't play last year, but you would rather have Howie Kendrick over
Yep.
Stanton.
I would. You ready? Let me roll these down. You want to start with 2017? I'll give you the last 3 years. You ready? 340, 303, 344 batting
So,
average.
315, not 340. So
Where?
315.
Oh, I'm
is the
sorry.
low
I read it
total.
from what it was the Phillies.
You're gonna
It
blame
doesn't
baseball
matter though.
reference
It's above
again?
300. It was
Okay.
above 300. You're talking about a guy that doesn't strike out a lot versus Stanton, who strikes out over almost 100 times, even more. I'm saying that's just the way baseball players are built. Not a guy that's gonna go whiff-de-doo on every chance that he can.
You act though like Stanton. You say his last 3 years. You act like he suddenly like he hits like 212. He hit 281.
Moot,
266.
oh, here you go, Moot. You want to hear something? You want to hear something funny? Poot, Poot, look at this.
I'm looking. I'm listening.
Do you want to know how
You
many strikeouts that Giancarlo Stanton had in 2018?
How many, Jude?
211.
Oof.
Okay. Do you know how many? Well, you can't because he had 40 games. But
Some Adam Dunn numbers.
from last year, Howie Kendrick in 121 games struck out 50 times.
That's true. He's also
You're talking about a guy that doesn't strike
had
out and hits for average.
370 plate appearances compared to Stanton's 705.
Look, here's
So,
the thing. I'm telling you.
Use the numbers. And don't get me wrong, I like Howie Kendrick. He's a good baseball player, good role player. But I'm just saying, you're kind of skewing.
I don't know, dude.
Jude
I'm just trying to
saw
make up the point
Moneyball
is.
first time. He thinks.
Okay.
Oh, we could
I
do
want to
this.
just tell
He
you
has
this.
the anti, Stanton bone.
Look. I tell you that a team full of Howie Kendricks would beat a team full of Giancarlo Stantons all the time.
I think you're wrong.
Oh,
I think
how? The team with Howie Kendrick beat the team that beat us with Giancarlo Stanton.
Because it doesn't mean one player, you dink. There's 9 baseball players.
Well,
You are such a moron.
No, you just don't want to give me where credit is due because I'm right. Moot is, I'm going to hit home runs. 70 home runs, 80 home runs, 5,000 new houses. Okay? Now listen.
The rant man strikes again.
Okay?
This is the
I
worst.
want people like Kendrick, LeMahieu. Okay? I want people like the dumbass on the Astros who plays left field, who's really good that we should have got. Brantley. Those are the guys I want. Guys that don't strike out every time the ball comes to you. Moot, how many plate appearances did Stanton have in 2018? Where he struck out 211 times. How many?
705.
705. Struck out 20. That's ridiculous.
What are you trying to do here? I feel like you're trying to do math. So what do you want to
No,
know?
I'm not trying to do anything. I'm just trying to get off the point that just because you can hit a ball 800 miles does not make you a good baseball player. And Stanton hasn't proved to me that he's a good baseball player. I'm sorry. Call me out. He was an MVP. Blah 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 blah. The guy's hurt all the time. He bumped his knee. Mood, if you bumped your knee, you'd be playing the next day. So please.
I mean, it was a torn PCL muscle or whatever, but it's okay. I mean, we don't need facts here. I'm just saying. I mean, you know what? I'd love to. I'm gonna find a generator to see. I mean, I know that there's different ones. What if they faced each other 162 games? I'm sure there's some way. Maybe someone on Twitter can help us out. I might put out the question. How do you generate? Because I'd love to see. I know that there's like out of the park baseball OOTP, but like you have to pay for it and shit. But I don't know. I mean, I think that a team of Stantons would beat Howie Kendrick every day.
Now, let me ask this, Poot. Who would you rather have on your team? Giancarlo Stanton or Howie Kendrick?
You know I don't like Stanton. I don't know. If it was 9-on-9 and all players were Kendrick and Stanton, I would probably take Stanton.
You're wrong.
Just
But
'cause
whatever.
well,
That's
just-
fine.
Well, here,
That's fine
just-
because you don't want to give me
Yep.
props.
Cross over me, rant man. That's all you rant men know how to do. There's so many of these days, and anytime the other person starts talking, you just talk over them.
You sound like Ashley right now.
I like how you.
That's your
wow.
wife.
I like how you quiet down once you get called out on it, rant man.
Okay, do you think the Yankees would have won the ALCS if they had Howie Kendrick instead of Giancarlo Stanton?
I think if they had Brantley instead of, yeah. I think
so
if
I think
pretty
maybe if
much
they
the same
pitched
guy.
had some pitching, they would have won. I don't
I
think
think it
had
wasn't
to
really
do
the pitching. I think it was more of the I can't get hit with people on base.
Yeah, because Edwin Encarnacion left like a little village on the bases every
A
time.
little village. He left more people there than that live in Waldo.
Waldo.
Check out Waldo, Florida. Google
Oh man, it was a good conversation today for something that with baseball not going on. But I don't know. Whatever. You say what you want to say. I want Howie
it.
Kendrick.
Well, you know what? That's going to be the next poll. I might put it up there right now. Howie Kendrick or Giancarlo Stanton?
No, but you got to frame it in the right way. Who
Or-
would you rather have on your team for 162 game season plus the playoffs?
Are there
I'm
injuries?
gonna
in
write
this
that.
sim? Because if there's injuries, you do know Stanton's out for half of it.
Are you going to put that poll right now?
Yeah, I am.
I,
Let's see this. Man,
Okay, maybe you want to write 2019 World Series champion Howie Kendrick on there as well.
who would you rather have on your team for 162 games plus playoffs? Giancarlo Stanton, Howie Kendrick. Tweet has been sent. 23
Good.
hours
I'm
left on
gonna
it.
go vote. I'm gonna go vote right now.
Okay. And I'll, you know what? I'll go from my personal channel.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
All right, let's wrap this up because next week we got
Come on,
another
wrap it up, Rant Man.
we got another wrestling show coming out. By the way, if you are following our Twitter, Yankees_chat, we are doing the 90s verse now wrestling brackets. We had the first 4 matchups going on. Goldust, Val Venus, Gangrel, all 90s wrestlers beat the now guys. Kane right now, 90s Kane is also winning. So it looks like the first 4 matchups, all the 90s guys are going to win. Let's see if that holds up. So I'm kind of excited to do that as we have nothing going on nowadays. But 90s versus now, great to see it. If you haven't checked it out, definitely go look on our page for the poll. There's a matchup that'll go on every day. For Jute, Poot, and Moot, we took a look at today. Is this realignment going to really work for the Major League? Who's going to be the greediest? Or is it the organization or is it the players? We don't know. And we all decided that I guess a Rolex at the time was sufficient for the change of a baseball jersey. For Poot, Moot, and Jute for YFC Episode 8, see ya.
Out of time. Bye-bye.